Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Tuesday. Was a great day today actually in the markets. Dow Jones was up, the S&P was up, others were up as well, 2% or more. Miners were up nicely today as well. Some of them were up over 10%, some finished up over 10%, but kind of pulled back a little bit towards the end, as did the markets. So that's okay. Bitcoin is still up. We still got good news in Bitcoin. We're still seeing a good trend on the 1 hour chart. We're seeing a positive trend on the 4 hour chart as well. We'll get into that. We'll get into the miners. And we got a lot of stories to cover, so let's get into it here. As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research, don't fall for scams. Spam posts get reported and deleted. I'm investing in following coins and companies. Full disclosure, and let's get into Bitcoin here right now on the chart. So this is on the 1 hour chart right now. Bitcoin is at 20,894. We did reach a high today of approximately 21,711 on the chart. The good thing is that I'm seeing here on the RSI, if we look at the RSI where it's at right now, it's at about 49, about 50 right now or so. Last time we were this close, we were right around here, and the price was about 20,046. So we've obviously had a nice increase in price while the RSI has stayed flat. That is obviously a very good sign for us here. On the 4 hour chart, if we look at it, we can see a little bit of a positive action going on here. So here's the 4 hour chart. And the last time we were right around this range. This is a little bit higher here, but you can see here where we kind of topped off at that point, and we are obviously higher at it right now, while the RSI is a little bit lower than that point right now. So that's a positive sign as well. So on the 1 hour, 4 hour, we're seeing a positive trend up while RSI is staying flat. That's good. That's what we want to see. On the daily chart, it's going to be too early to tell right now. We've obviously bottomed out here over the weekend. On the chart, as you can see here, we obviously went as low as, the low was 17,567 on the 18th. We obviously bounced on the 19th, and we've stayed above our support line here of 19,500 or so that we drew a while back. So that's also a good sign. So at least we have that going on. Right now, it's going to take a while for us to see any positive sentiment in the daily chart where the RSI is flat, price has been going up. But at least we have it on the 1 hour and the 4 hour chart, so that's a good beginning, at least in my opinion right now. Have we bottomed? I just don't know. There's still a lot of back and forth between the viewpoints as far as there's more pain to come possibly. Camp, and obviously some in the camp are saying that we possibly may have bottomed out. But we'll take a look at a couple of stories here that maybe give us a little bit of direction as far as which way we could go. So that's Bitcoin right now. Ethereum is at 1,135. It is also seeing a pretty good sign here. This is on the daily chart. We saw that it bottomed out on the 18th at 879. And if we look at the 1 hour chart, we can see the same thing on the RSI. RSI is about 50 right now. Last time we were around here, we were closer back here. And we can see the price was way down here. We're up on price as well. So that's a good sign. On the 4 hour chart, we can possibly see the same thing. Let's see if we can find something that matches it. Probably right around here or here. So we can still see that we are above it on the 4 hour chart as well. So that's a good sign there as well. All right, let's get into the miners here, see how they did today on the market, and then we'll get into the stories here. So Sphere 3D was up today 5.61% to 68 cents, up a little bit in the after hours now as well to 69 cents. We obviously bottomed out here last Friday on them for the 52-week low. Argo was up 9.76% to 45 cents, up nicely today, no after hours trading. It also bottomed out here on Friday at 38 cents. Bitfarms was up 6.34%, or BitDigital, sorry, was up 6.34% to $1.51, up a little bit more in the after hours to $1.55. It bottomed out on Thursday at $1.19. Bitfarms was up 4.51% to $1.39, up a little bit in the after hours to $1.40. It also bottomed out on Thursday here at $1.28. CleanSpark was up 1.72% on the day, up a little bit more in the after hours to $4.80. It also bottomed out on Thursday at $4.05. Core Scientific looks like it was down a little bit, 1.72% on the day to $2.29, up a little bit in the after hours to $2.34. It bottomed out on the 13th at $1.97. DigiHost was up 10% today to $1.21, up a little bit more in the after hours to $1.23. It also bottomed out here on Thursday at $1.10. DMG was up 9.18% to 19 cents. It also bottomed out on Friday at 18 cents. High Blockchain was up 4.76% to $3.08, up a little bit more in the after hours to $3.15. It bottomed out on the 14th at $2.82. Hut 8 was up 3.14% to $1.64. It's flat in the after hours right now. It bottomed out also on Thursday at $1.52. Iris Energy was down 5.35 to $3.54. And we do have some news on Iris that we're going to get into as well. So I'm wondering if that contributed to a little bit of the down slide today. It's up a little bit in the after hours to $3.70. And it looks like it bottomed out on Wednesday at $3.43 last week. Luxfolio was up 12.7% to 11 cents, and it bottomed out last Wednesday at about almost 10 cents. Marathon was up 9.23% to $7.22, down a little bit in the after hours to $7.20. It bottomed out on the 13th at $6.12. Mawson was down today 4.86% to $1.37, up quite a bit in the after hours. It's up 8.76% in the after hours to $1.49. It looks like it bottomed out today, actually, for the 52-week low of $1.30 here. And Riot was up 9.46% on the day to $5.09, up a little bit in the after hours to $5.11. It bottomed out on the 13th, which was possibly, Tuesday, I think, at $4.36. And finally, Stronghold was up 7.05% to $1.67. And up a little bit more in the after hours. It looks like it bottomed out on Friday for the 52-week low at $1.55. So those are the stocks. Obviously, pretty much a pretty good day for all of them, which was good. And obviously, having Bitcoin rebound helped. I thought when Bitcoin was going down to the 17,000 mark, I was like, holy cow, the miners are going to be falling quite a bit when trading obviously started today. That it didn't happen. So that was obviously a good sign here. All right, let's get into our first story here. This first story is Bitcoin futures enter backwardation for the first time in a year. We're not really going to cover that too much, but we are going to get into some of the other things that were discussed here. So Bitcoin's month-to-date chart is very bearish, and the sub 18,000 level seen over the weekend was the lowest price since December of 2020. Bull's current hope depends on turning 20,000 to support, which kind of does look like we have support there a little bit. But we'll have to see, obviously, going forward. But derivatives metrics tell a completely different story, as professional traders are still extremely skeptical. Which, everybody has the right to be skeptical on this. We'll have to see. It's important to remember that the S&P 500 index dropped 11% in June, and even multi-billion-dollar companies like Netflix, PayPal, and Caesars Entertainment have corrected with 71%, 61%, and 57% losses. So kind of in line with what Bitcoin has dropped from its all-time high. So it's not only Bitcoin that's had a huge drop, but also some of these other big names as well. Furthermore, according to analysts at global investment bank JP Morgan Chase, the record high total stablecoin market share within crypto is pointing to oversold conditions and significant upside for crypto markets from here. And it's I'm also an optimist originally, so I look for all the good things. And seeing what I'm seeing right now kind of leads me to think that perhaps we may have bottomed, but I'm not 100% sure on that. According to analysts, the lower percentage of stablecoins in the total crypto market capitalization is associated with limited crypto potential, which is obviously a good thing. And obviously, currently, crypto investors face mixed sentiment between recession fears and optimism towards the 20,000 support gaining strength, as stablecoins could eventually flow into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. For this reason, analysts of derivatives data is valuable in understanding whether investors are pricing higher odds or of a downturn, right? So here's the story on Bitcoin futures premium turns negative for the first time in a year. I'm not going to get into it because there's not much information as far that could help us, but it does obviously point that there is some more possible downside potential and why it's possible it could happen. But here's another part of it that I want to talk to you guys about. Analysts expect maximum damage ahead. So some metrics, and this coincides with obviously the charts here. Some of the metrics suggest that Bitcoin may have bottomed on June 18th, especially since the 20,000 support has gained strength. On the other hand, market analyst Mike Alfred made it clear that, in his opinion, Bitcoin's not done liquidating large players. They will take it down to a level that will cause the maximum damage to the most overexposed players like Celsius. Right? We still don't know what Celsius is going to be doing, whether they're going to be allowing people to withdraw their funds or not. They've obviously halted everything right now, and they're obviously evaluating what they can do and working through that. Until traders have a better view of contagion risk from the Terra ecosystem implosion, the possibility insolvency of Celsius, and the liquidity issues being faced by Three Arrows Capital, which is also happening right now, the odds of another Bitcoin price crash are high. But we do have a next story that we're going to get into, which we'll have to see if maybe some of the data from here explains some of this problems that we're seeing in Celsius, Three Arrow Capitals. Terra obviously is done and over with, but we still have Celsius and Three Arrows Capital that we need to deal with. So here's a story also, more focused selling ahead. Purpose Bitcoin ETF holdings plunged by 51% in biggest outflow ever. And this was actually before the plunge that we saw over the weekend. So I think this might have been updated here June 20th, which would have been yesterday. So Purpose Bitcoin ETF has 51% of AUM slashed. The fund's holdings dropped from 47,818 BTC to 23,307 BTC between June 16th and June 17th. This was right before the crash on the 18th. If we look at the chart here on Bitcoin, we can see that we had that crash here. It was on the 18th. Obviously, we fell quite substantially on the 17th, and then the 18th, we started definitely falling some more. So that may coincide with that data. Also, interestingly, another Canadian crypto fund dubbed 3IQ CoinShares Bitcoin ETF witnessed similar outflows, dropping from 23,917 BTC on June 1st to 12,668 BTC on June 17th, suggesting the Purpose's massive BTC withdrawal was not an isolated event, right? So it looks like people were, or at least funds and institutions were pulling capital out, and that might have obviously caused what happened over the weekend where we had a massive drop, which could have, we don't know which institutions were pulling out, whether any of that was Celsius, whether it was any capital from Three Arrows or not. We just don't know, but possibilities there that it could have been part of theirs as well. More for selling of Bitcoin is ahead. The outflows came at the cusp of Bitcoin's brief break below 20,000, a psychological support level that served as the top during the 2017 bull run. Notably, BTC's price fell to circa 17,570 on June 20th, only to reclaim 21,000 2 days later. That didn't happen on June 20th. I think that, when did that happen? That wasn't on June 20th. We fell on June 18th. Well, we kind of fell here as well. Although this was still on the 18th. We're on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at the daily chart here. We fell on the 18th, and then we rebounded on the 19th. So that information there is wrong. Price on June 20th, only to reclaim 21 2 days later. Yeah, so that happened on the 18th. Nonetheless, the fund's giant Bitcoin puke left behind evidence of record high redemption rates by their institutional clients, supposedly invoked by fears that BTC would resume its bear market run below 20,000 in 2022. So don't know who those institutional clients were. That could have been obviously Celsius, could have been obviously Three Arrows as well. We just don't know. So that obviously, if that was the case, then hopefully this puke that we've had here recently is the offset of that. And hopefully we won't have any more, large capitulation events like this. Given the poor state of risk management by cryptocurrency lenders and over generous lending terms, expect more pocket of forced selling of BTC and Ethereum as the market figures out who is swimming naked. And this was obviously from the CEO of BitMEX, Arthur Hayes. Breaking below 20,000 is easier now. Bitcoin has fallen by more than 70% from its record high of 69,000 in November of 2021, mainly plagued by the Fed's benchmark rate hikes and systematic and complete unwinding of the $9 trillion balance sheet. Right, that has obviously put a lot of pressure on Bitcoin, not only Bitcoin, but the stock market as well. The U.S. central bank slashed rates it wouldn't be slashed rates, it raised rates by 75 basis points on June 15, its highest since 1994. Meanwhile, its dot plot reveals aims to push the lending rates to 3.4% by the end of 22 versus the current 1.5 to 1.75 range. And here's the dot plot right now that we're seeing. So you're seeing obviously a lot of 3.4 to 3.6, even some of 3.8. So we'll see how that one plays out. But obviously we are going to have more rate hikes as that happens. That would mean more hikes into the year, which in turn could hurt risk appetite further, limiting Bitcoin's as well as the stock market's recovery potential. But yeah, we'll obviously have to see how that plays out. It's all going to be based on the CPI data coming out. And if CPI data looks better than expected, well, it might be falling down, but who knows how that's going to play out. BTC levels to watch out for. Bitcoin's likelihood of retesting 17 to 18,000 as support will be all but guaranteed if BTC's price breaks below 20,000 again. I agree with that. If that happens, we're obviously possibly going down more. So that's the level we have to watch. Meanwhile, continued selling could have BTC fall to 14,000, the May 2019 top. Interestingly, Bitcoin's volume profile visible range further indicates the 8,000 to 10,000 range as the most dominant based on trading activity. That is going to be really painful if that happens. I'm more in line with the 14,000 or so. I think I had mine at 13.8 thousand or something like that, where I think it would fall. So obviously there's still a lot of uncertainty in the market. We need to see that continued stacking of coins over the next couple hours, days, weeks, months in order for us to possibly call this a bear or the bottom. We won't know that until that actually happens, so we'll see how that plays out. The other thing is obviously we need to figure out what's going to happen with Celsius. Celsius is obviously the boogeyman here, along with Three Arrows Capital. They have a lot of cash or reserves, Bitcoins, and everything else that's being held up right now. If that gets released and people are selling, or maybe hopefully people have kind of reevaluated things and would be like, okay, I'm just going to take the money off of Celsius, put it into my cold wallet or hardware wallet, or put it in an exchange or something like that, and just hold on to it. That might be okay. It might not be that bad. But just all depends what people end up doing. So we'll have to see. But there is some good news here. And the good news is, while the price has obviously come way down, Bitcoin mints more than 13,000 whole coiners in the past 7 days. So whole coiners are any wallet that basically has one Bitcoin or more on it. And then also small wallet addresses have also those containing 0.1 Bitcoin or more continue to accumulate Bitcoin at a rapidly increasing rate, which is also good. So people are actually getting into it. So now we have, it seems like retail's back into it as compared to when Bitcoin was going up in price. We had more institutions getting into it and retail was getting out of it. We got retail, I think, going back into it, which is great. So bye-bye bear market blues. Welcome to the network. Bitcoin believers. Over the past week, the number of Bitcoin wallet addresses containing one BTC or more increased by 13,091, which is great. The total number of whole coiners surged to 865,254. So that is also great. So we're seeing that continued stacking. The number of whole coiners has rocketed during the downward price action, highlighted by the hockey stick growth on the Glassnode graph. And here's the graph right there. So number of addresses with a balance of greater than 1 has continued to obviously increase, while the price has been going down. So that is also a good sign. Let's see here. I think that's it. And here's a quote. People have a strong belief in the future of Bitcoin network and the value of cryptocurrency. And this was from the Christian Ander, the founder of Swedish Bitcoin Exchange. Over the past 10 days since May 10, markets slump to 30,000. Over 14,000 whole coiners have joined the network, as there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins mined. Each of these wallet addresses will own 1/21 millionth of all Bitcoins ever produced. Right? We have so many more millionaires in the world that won't be able to have a one Bitcoin if these guys hold on to that one Bitcoin. At an approximate price of 20,000 per Bitcoin, the sharp increase in the number of whole coiners would suggest that retail, or plebs, as they are affectionately known, are buying Bitcoin as fast as their incomes will allow it. The number of addresses adding 0.1 BTC, 2,000 or more, has also begun a parabolic run over the past 10 days. I am also looking to get maybe a little bit more, just to have I'd like to get to 2. I'm pretty close to that. I'm not too far away. So if it drops a little bit more, I may pick up a little bit, or just dollar cost average into it here for the next couple of weeks to get to that beautiful 2 spot. And then here's that on the balances of 0.1. That has also been increasing as well, which is great to see. In contrast, the number of wallets containing more than 100 BTC has dropped by 136 over the same period. By inference, whales, wallets, large BTC wallet addresses could be unloading their bags. And, well, we obviously have a story on Bitfarms selling quite a bit. Others might be selling as well. We obviously saw the story on the Canadian ETFs, where those were getting a lot of coins off of there. So that obviously has something to do with it as well. And I think that was it for that one. So all in all, I think we're kind of in this limbo right now. Until we get out of this kind of slump, we'll see if we can continue going up. Even if we continue going up and the Fed rate raises interest rates, we may fall down a little bit, but hopefully we don't fall below that 20,000 again, which is our support. We'll have to see. All right. So something to be mindful of as always. Don't want you guys going too crazy here. All right. Let's take a look at Bitfarms, and then we got a story on Iris Energy as well. So Bitfarms, as you know, last week sold 1,500 coins to pay off some debt, and they provided some more selling here today as well for a total of 3,000 Bitcoins that they sold. So here's the main break of it. So Bitfarms has sold a total of 3,000 Bitcoins for approximately 62 million. Closed on previously announced 37 million in new equipment financing with NYDIG. So that's good. So they obviously, when they closed on its previously announced 37 million. So I don't know if they just basically didn't use the loan or didn't provide. Not sure how that's going to work out, whether or not they're going to be, I would think they just closed the loan. I don't think they're getting any miners for that amount. Improving corporate liquidity by approximately 100 million. This brings total BTC holdings to 3,349. They had it over 6,000 at the beginning of June. Obviously, they've sold down quite a bit, 3,000 in the last week or so, inclusive of a month of daily production, which is currently averaging at about 14 BTC per day, which is really good. So that's good news. And then Bitfarms has applied a portion of the proceeds to rebalance its indebtedness by reducing its BTC-backed credit facility with Galaxy Digital, a further 28 million from 66 million to 38 million. So that's also good. So they're paying down their debt, which is a good thing, which I also think, I don't have any information on this. This is just kind of my wild guess here, hunch, whatever you want to call it, that possibly when Bitcoin price went down to the 17,000, I wonder if they got also margin called on that because it was backed by BTC collateral. So I don't know if that was the case or not, but it would seem logical that might be what happened. In consideration of extreme volatility in the markets, we have continued to take action to enhance liquidity and to deleverage and strengthen our balance sheet. Specifically, we sold 1,500 more Bitcoin and are no longer hodling all our daily BTC production, said Jeff Lucas, CFO of Bitfarms. So it looks like now, I've called for this, I've said this, I think it's a possibly good strategy to sell a portion and also hold a portion, whether that portion is 30% selling, 70% holding, or whatever that ratio is. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's a good thing to do well in the market. So as the price goes up, you're selling it at a higher price. When the market goes down, you're selling it at a lower price, but you're selling less than you would have to if the market tanked and you're hodling and then you got to raise cash, right? So I think this is a good thing, and I would love to see all the miners doing this as well. So this is good. I'm fine with this. So holding, they've got that. While we remain bullish on the long-term BTC price appreciation, the strategic change enables us to focus on our top priorities of maintaining our world-class mining operations and continuing to grow our business in anticipation of improved mining economics. So this is good as well. They're obviously restructuring a little bit, trying to get through this, which I'm sure quite a few miners are going to be doing the same thing. Reprioritizing what they need to do. So since January 2021, we have been funding operations and growth through various financing measures. We believe that selling a portion of our BTC holdings in daily production as a source of liquidity is the best and least expensive method in the current market environment. So obviously that's a good thing. They're not diluting shares. They're not also taking on heavy debt with high interest rates. So I'm fine with it. I think this is a good thing. As of June 20th, 2022, Bitfarms held cash of 42 million and 3,349 BTC valued at approximately 67 million. At a BTC price of 20,000, Bitfarms is in compliance with all of its credit obligations. So that's also a good thing. So they pretty much have over $100 million in cash and in BTC, basically. So I think they're in pretty good shape here. They obviously have a little debt here with Galaxy Digital, but nothing too bad. So that's fine. So on Bitfarms, yeah, they had to sell obviously at the bottom, unfortunately. Lesson learned, hopefully, right? That's all we can say. All right. And then finally, Iris Energy. We saw Iris Energy go down a little bit today. It was down about 5% today on the day. So I wonder if this is because of it. So let's get into it here. It's actually not too bad, but they are obviously slowing down their growth expectations a little bit, it seems like. So Iris Energy Limited provides update operating and capital expenditure guidance. So today, the company reiterated expected total online operating capacity of 3.7 exahash by the end of Q3 of 2022, which is good. The company also announced that the expansion from 50 megawatts to 80 watts at its Mackenzie site is progressing ahead of schedule, increasing expected total online operating capacity to 4.3 exahash by the end of Q4 2022, which is good as well. And I believe they wanted to be at 15 exahash by sometime next year. I'm not sure, but I think it was by Q2 or Q3 of next year. Given current market conditions, the company intends to defer additional major capital expenditure for the work beyond the initial 4.3 exahash of operating capital to preserve balance sheet flexibility, which is good, obviously. You don't want to overextend yourself too much, especially in this market. We don't know if we're going to be in a bear market for 3 months, 6 months, a year, who knows, until the next halving happens, which is in 2 years. And typically, before the halving, about a year, we start going back up in Bitcoin usually. But we'll see if that plays out this time or if we're going to see something different. Continuing on here, the company currently has no corporate debt on its balance sheet, which is really good. And they obviously sell what they make all along. They don't hodl any Bitcoin, which is also really good, I think. I would like to see them hodl a little bit. Just kind of a little rainy day fund here and there, I think. But I'm fine with them selling. And then here's some more information. So funding capital expenditure deferral. As market conditions have deteriorated, the company continues to believe this is a prudent approach. And I would agree with this. Like I said, you don't want to overextend yourself. As a result, the company expects to defer major additional capital expenditure until the current market uncertainty subsides and financing terms improve, which is also good. Because right now, interest rates are high. It doesn't really make much sense to take out a loan if you're going to be paying 12 or 11% on something. If conditions become favorable, the company expects to explore raising additional capital. The company has made $130 million of payments in respect of contracted miners above the initial 4.3 exahash, which are subject to ongoing discussions. So that is possibly what might have spooked the market a little bit. Obviously, for them to get to 15 exahash, there's still a lot of miners that they would have to get, and the $130 million payment of that is being discussed with the miner manufacturers. So that's what maybe spooked them, maybe thinking that they're not going to get to 15 exahash next year, but maybe the following year or something like that. The company's planning and contractual arrangements have also mitigated material finance commitments to the broader build-out of Childress infrastructure beyond ongoing preparatory construction activities. So that's being pretty much put on hold for now, it seems like. While the company continues to target expansion of total operating capacity above 4.3 exahash, such plans are expected to be delayed, and the company will continue to review such plans in light of evolving market conditions, right? So that 15 exahash is obviously being put on hold. They're going to get to 4.3 right now. We'll see, obviously, how the market goes with Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up in price in the next 6 months. They could possibly, start planning to do that next year as well. So we'll see. The company expects to continue liquidating Bitcoin mining rewards on a daily basis, as has been the case since Iris Energy started Bitcoin mining in 2019, including when Bitcoin hit an all-time high of approximately 68,000 in November, which is good. And then here's some financial business updates. So $454 million of total equity, nil corporate level debt, which is good. $93 million of cash after expected remaining capital expenditure to achieve initial 4.3. So that's really good. So they still got plenty of cash. $317 million investment in miners and infrastructure expected in order to achieve the initial 4.3. $130 million of payments in respect of the contracted miners above the 4.3. So they're obviously talking about that. They may be put back in if they cancel the miners or something like that, or if they just defer for a longer time frame. And then $19 million of deposits and prepayments with AEP for the 600 megawatt high voltage electrical connection at Childress. So I think they're in pretty good shape. And here's a quote from co-CEO Daniel Roberts. While we believe the long-term value proposition of Bitcoin will continue to grow stronger, we are respectful of the current market environment, which they obviously should be. So that's it. Not too bad. Bitfarms obviously had to sell. It happens. If you want to stay in the game, you obviously have to make some adjustments and go from there. They're obviously selling now Bitcoins that they're going to be mining, which is good. Iris obviously sells other Bitcoin all the time, so not a big deal there. They're obviously well suited for it as well. Their 15 exahash expectations are obviously going to be pushed out a little bit, so that's fine too. Given where we are with the market, can't expect that. You don't want to be spending, hundreds of millions of dollars with the price of Bitcoin being at 20,000, possibly going down to 14,000. Who knows where it's going to go, right? So I'm okay with that. Obviously, we do have some good news with the plebs buying more Bitcoin, which is good. We do have, obviously, the 1 hour chart, the 4 hour chart on Bitcoin also being positive with the RSI staying flat. So that's a good sign there. But we'll see how it goes forward. We're still early after this big dip that we've had on the weekend. If we can maintain above 20,000, this possibly may be the bottom, but only time will tell. And we'll see what happens with Celsius, 3 arrows. You know, that's going to be a big canary in the coal mine there. If those guys are going to be able to stay solvent or figure something out, we may be okay here. We'll see. All right, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I hope you guys had a great day. We'll see tomorrow how tomorrow goes. I hope tomorrow's a great day. Also, we'll do the miners versus miners video. We've got pretty much all the data now in for the production updates for May. So we'll do that. We'll do it by categories, large miners, medium miners, and then small miners. We'll see how everybody's stacked up against each other for the month of May. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one.